Welcome to Lighten Up Talk Radio with Michael Lott,
Snider,
and Michael Braswell.
Join us with topics that wake up the connection to the real you. You can listen to us at lightenuptalkradio.com. Welcome, everybody. It is Sunday, January 13th, 2013, and welcome to another episode of Lighten Up Talk Radio, here with myself, Michael Lott, Lee Snider, and Michael Braswell. How are you all doing today?
Doing fine, thank you.
We have been here having a blast. I can't believe you just said you're just doing fine.
You want me to say how I really feel?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome!
Lee, how do you feel today? She's been talking about being a little chihuahua.
Yeah, I've been a very much of in the chihuahua mode today.
And why is that, Lee?
I've just gotten very turned on to the energy today that's in this vicinity of where I'm at. And I can kind of that's about as clean as I can put it on the air.
I was going to say Cutter Mike.
I still have enough in my mind to know not to go there.
So you're red smoking hot today.
I'm red smoking hot.
Candy,
so I got
candy apple red.
We got the horny energy going on over here.
Today has been incredibly horny.
Oh my God. Lee, you even have orange on. You know that's your sacral chakra color.
Oh, yes.
I
knew what was going to happen today.
We have been praying for him.
I meditated all night long about this, and it came to fruition.
You know what's so funny
it actually appeared about 2 hours ago.
You know what's so fun about our conversation, actually,
what?
That we're just kind of bringing over? It reminds me of, I don't know, have any of y'all read Osho books?
Nope.
He's an Indian master teacher that talked about the new race of Zorba the Buddhas. And Zorba was a man who partied and had so much fun, but also bringing the Buddha light into the partying and the fun and the dancing and the just enjoying pleasure. And so it's kind of fun because I really feel that all of us have really been working on becoming the Zorba the Buddha and enjoying life, enjoying all the colors of life, the human aspects of life, as well as being able to be bringing that light and fun from within, not just from outside, but bring it from within. Let our true colors of joy shine on all the different levels.
I feel like that the same way, Michael, and this year I can tell a huge switch within me of just not holding back at all. I mean, whatever is there is what's coming out. And, before I would be a little bit more, I guess, laid back with it and not really express myself a lot of times to when I really wanted to, and I just didn't because I didn't think the timing was correct at that time. It's just really come in that the first of this year, I just made a conscious commitment to myself that whatever that I was feeling at the time was exactly what I would express. And it has just opened every piece of me up. And there's no type of holding back with it. It's just going to be that way. And if the other person or people cannot handle that, then they just need to just tell me. Because that's just not even in my thinking pattern anymore to close down things that I really want to say. I think that stops you.
I was imagining your little white reserved hat that you used to put on. You put your little reserved cap on.
Right.
And get in those moments.
I understand. I used to be very reserved with it. And then all of a sudden, I'm just lit up. It was. I mean, you know that. I mean, I would get way into my, more of the down mode of the business world and be able to say things and be in the spiritual part. But it's a totally different flair to it. And it wasn't the totally happy me. And I have just totally sprung into the total happy me. And there's been a lot of variables that has brought that to where I'm at today.
Hey, and you're looking at your reflection over here with as far as that goes, because
Right.
I've had plenty of that. What about you, Braswell?
Two things. One,
I can't wait.
I was about to embarrass myself. I thought you said, "Have you read the OSHA books?" And I was wondering, what in the world does OSHA have to do with spirituality?
Oh my God! No, that was a little dry.
No, we're not talking about electrical cords going,
know.
going across floors that people can flip on.
I was wondering why we were. I was thinking, am I insured?
I was thinking, do I need to go around this room and see if I stick my finger into ice cream again, thinking it's a lint? Go ahead.
You know, you mentioned two words which defines the difference between human and spirit a while ago. You said, I think. Mm-hmm. If you ever use the word think, you're in the human realm. Mm-hmm. You're not in spirit. If you ever use the word feel, most likely you're in spirit. That's a good way to look at it.
That was profound.
I mean, think about it.
It's true.
And you should always go with the way you feel. Mm-hmm. Of course, in our human duties and our quote-unquote responsibilities of the human realm, we have to use the think, and we have to be in our human mind and our human brain to get through the daily cycle. But when you're in spirit, it's only feeling. If you think, you override feeling and you stop it. So I thought that was pretty neat that you brought out those two words, and it just suddenly sprang out. What was the other question you asked me? Because I was kind of out of here thinking about what you said when you turned around and said, what do you think? I think y'all were talking about how you are now as far as opening
Your
up.
feelings. How are you now?
Okay. Sorry, folks. I was just out in the ether world there for a while. The more I think you go on your spiritual path, the more you get used to doing it, the more the feelings come out. I think the more it releases your humor. Humor is a carrier of true feeling, if you think about it. People who use humor as a defense, you can almost feel the pain beneath their humor. People who use humor as just a normal part of their personality, you can feel the love.
Don't you think, like, sarcastic humor, when people get into that mode of being really
low self-esteem?
Yeah, it comes right through.
It just says. So humor is a good indicator too of where the person is at that time on their spiritual path. And excuse me, I've noticed all three of us since we started being blessed by doing the show together, and I still thank you guys for that. Was our humor's come out more to the man, every one of us. Mm-hmm. Yep. And the pre-shows, we definitely have to start really recording those. If we miss any, I hope we didn't, and have a blooper.
We get pretty hardcore.
We'll have to censor some of them, you know.
They're great though. We just are laughing so much.
It reminds me now the true meaning behind holy laughter. Mm-hmm. Holy laughter that I grew up with was in a church, and it was laughter. It was true laughter, but I never understood it because I never felt it. So holy laughter kind of lets out a lot of people. It doesn't incorporate everyone into it. This kind of laughter, people listening will laugh. Anybody that was here when we get laughing, it's infectious. True holy laughter, I think, is infectious to everyone around. So that's my story.
You're sticking to it. I agree with the holy laughter. I was at an expo show on Friday, a health expo show in Knoxville, and I had a lady that was there, and I hadn't seen her in quite a while, and she said, I've been listening to your shows every week. She said, it's totally my favorite one. And I said, well, then what's the most favorite thing why you feel that way? And she said, because you're always in a very high frequency of laughter. And she says it's the joy and the laughter that you put in there. It's not like, 90% of some of the shows that we watch, it's just very solemn, monotone, Gets the point across. I'm not saying anything derogatory about that, but it's just a different twist, I think, this year of going into 2013 with a totally different mindset of joy. The joy is just infectious. And it's amazing that when you're in a room, and I'm going to try this when I go down to this meeting on Wednesday morning. I am going to do this. I'm going to be with people that I absolutely do not know and have never met. But I'm going to go into my humor mode into it.
Should we call them and warn them?
Well, maybe. But anyway, because the person that invited me to come, she said, there needs to be some light put into this. And it's actually, businesses for leads and things to, increase people's incomes and that type of thing. And so my intention is just to go in there, and if I see all these, bankers and attorneys, which is a lot of them is just lighten up the whole mode of it. Now, in their mindset, it might be that they might think, go, tell the person who invited me, don't ever bring her again. But I don't think that'll be the intention at all. I think it'll be maybe just a switch in that whole energy field of that whole group to not dread going at 8 o'clock in the morning, but to actually be very joyous to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, because it gets, it seems to be getting in that circle very monotonous. I definitely feel that. It's like the same week you're doing the same thing. It just needs to have a new, fresh, person or energy in there. So if I call either one of you that I'm in jail in Loudoun County, then you'll know to come get me. Okay, will you get me out?
I bet I can imagine what you'll be in jail in: your French brassard, and your red hot pants.
That's right.
Yeah. I think we just need to find out visiting days, don't you? Yeah.
And I don't want the visitation through a window.
Lee, that's kind of funny. I'd forgotten about this when you talked about this before, this networking meeting. Mm-hmm. But every now and then, I attended several times with a friend of mine in in Sevierville. And whenever he has to be out of town, he asked me to pinch hit for him there, 7:30 in the morning there. Mm-hmm. And then one of the first few things I noticed was the laughter and the lightness there. Mm-hmm. These are all purely business people. I mean, get some pretty decent business people, pretty heavyweights. But they laugh all the time. They joke all the time. Mm-hmm. They don't get too serious. And it makes the meeting really enjoyable. Right. That's why I go pinch hit for them. Mm-hmm. Normally I wouldn't be around a lot of big heavyweight business people because the ones I've noticed, most of them were drab. Mm-hmm. If the humor was there, it was dry humor. Mm-hmm. And it was more like Michael Lott said, the sarcastic humor. But that meeting, it's all just light, and they enjoy each other.
Well, my intentions is to take the light from that Sevier County office and just roll it right on down the road and roll it on into Loudoun County.
Those people do not know what they're in for.
Because it's going to be interesting. And then not only that, after that one, the same day, because I'm going up there on Tuesday evening, so I will be well rested and I'll have my real funny face on. And then after that, at 12 o'clock, then it's the Kiwanis Club meeting in Monroe County. And so I'm going to be traveling from Loudoun to Monroe County, and I'll be able to lighten up that bunch too, as well as in Monroe County. So I think it's going to be exciting. So I don't know which place y'all might have to come bail me out. But
can you be put in jail in 2 counties simultaneously?
Well, you could be bailed out of one and then have time to roll down. Because it's not but about a 20-minute drive from one to the other. So, yeah, I actually could probably do that.
Now, you said you would put on your real face for the second one. What is your real face?
I will probably warmed up from the first one to be able to even be more funny on the second one.
Have no mask.
No mask. Because sometimes it takes me a while to get warmed up. It's just like with us here on Sunday. We all come together and a lot of times go eat lunch or we eat our cookies or whatever that is that we have. And it takes us about an hour and a half at times to get ourselves warmed up.
Just to eat cookies.
Because we're because we're going through what a lot of times the week was and the feelings are and that type of thing. And then we do like a pre-show type thing and then we get into this. So it's just a warm-up period. So my intentions is that for that Wednesday morning, that early, I'll probably be up fairly early to get myself really turned on before I get in the car and go there. Because that is totally my intentions, is to go in there and just lighten up the whole place.
Isn't that wonderful to get turned on by Spirit?
It is.
Fantastic.
Since walking the spiritual journey, it has been totally the turning point for me. That's absolutely true.
So what do you all do every day to turn on that connection?
It's automatic for me most mornings. I wake up that way. I wake up, I'm one of the weird ones, I guess. I wake up happy. I'll look in the mirror and blow a kiss at myself or something. I mean, I'm just that way.
What about on your journey, getting to that point? What are some of the things that you've done that maybe some folks out there might be able to help them? Because I feel the same way. I feel like typically I get up with it, but there are days when I feel a little heavy about something.
I came out of like you, I came out of the business world, corporate world. And I had gotten, even though I always had a good sense of humor, used to know about 2,000 jokes at any time. Now I've forgotten every one of them. Nothing to do with old age. But I noticed I was taking myself too seriously. And sitting in meetings or talking to people, giving presentations, I noticed they were presentations. And some reason I started incorporating humor into it gradually. Because you can't do it, you can't make a full swing immediately, because people who know you, they'll probably call the people with the jacket, that ties around you. But that was the biggest step for me, was to start trying not to be so serious all the time. Try not to be so analytical about everything. And I started enjoying life better when I started doing that. Humor, like I said before, humor is a carrier of love. If it's good, honest humor from within your heart. And that started really making me enjoy life better when I started that.
And what started that, though? What was the moment that started that?
I realized one day I wasn't enjoying life. I asked myself, the first time I noticed the question that I asked myself a lot after that, and that is the first step towards spiritual enlightenment, is questioning things, uncertainty, confusion. And I asked, there's got to be something else. This can't be everything. I don't guess that was a question, was it? This can't be everything. And so when I realized that, I said, well, what else is there? And I hadn't realized then that I was just a spiritual being, just enjoying a very temporary, brief encounter here as a human. So the more I worked on lightening up, there's those two words, lighten up, lightening up, and enjoying life more. And I started then not taking everyone else as seriously, and that helped me start looking at people differently. I didn't judge. I found out and realized that somewhere along there that I was a judger of people. I put them in categories. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, they do this to me too. So I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. And it's hard. I still do it occasionally. But I recognize it. I'm aware of it now. And I don't beat up on myself anymore for doing things like that. When I become aware of things that I do which are not beneficial for me spiritually, used to do it in my first days of this path, I'd beat up on myself. Because you're your own worst critic.
Absolutely.
And I started then just saying, okay, God doesn't need to forgive you. He forgave you a long time ago, so won't you forgive yourself? You can't. Why are you doing something God's not doing? So I started forgiving myself and not worrying about it, not beating up on myself. And it helped a lot. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I was going to say, it just hit me. One of the biggest things that helped me change that was when I stopped doing things out of obligation. That energy in itself was like an anchor to my whole being on so many different levels. And I remember one of the first times that I actually went and started taking some dance classes, and just throughout the years I've always danced to the radio in my room and that sort of thing. But then there was a period of time when I was in corporate world of where all that stuff just kind of left my life. And then when it came back is when I really understood how important it is to express and not hold back things and be in your truth and all of that stuff. And that being and living my truth and being comfortable with who I am is really the essence of getting up in the morning and getting up going, I am who I am, and that's who it is, and I can't be anything else. And when I go forward in my day, understanding that I'm in that expression of the divine, an individualized expression of the divine, and don't hold back. It's just joy. It's just automatic joy comes into my day. You
are truly a master and a psychic, because you just used a word that I've been looking at myself really tight, really hard the last few days. Obligation. I put obligation in the same category as responsibility. And spiritually, the only person you're responsible for is yourself. You're accountable to others. You're accountable to your children for getting them up to a certain age, teach them, and provide the environment for them to learn to take care of themselves after a certain point, helping them get educated. You're accountable. You're not responsible for them, because there's going to come a time, if you're responsible and you feel responsible for your children, you're going to be miserable later in life, because they're going to leave you. And they ain't going to come visit you as often as you think they should and you want them to. If you're accountable, you understand all that, and it doesn't bother you as much. And if you feel obligated to do something, if you feel responsible for some function or some place or some person, if you can get to the point where you realize you're not responsible, you're not accountable, you're not obligated, you then take away all the cover, and you can take a good, honest look at it. Now, it may be that you find that now that I'm not responsible, now that I'm not obligated to that, I find that I genuinely really want to do that. But I'm doing it then not out of responsibility. It's a different energy. It's a different enjoyment. And your success at that is going to be far better and far greater than if you were in that place of obligation. Because when you're in that place of obligation, you're shutting off spirit. You really are. And when you get out from that illusion of obligation and responsibility, and spirit comes in, and you might discover, hey, I really want to do this, because I really now find I really do enjoy it where I thought I didn't. Because you're looking at it from the heart. You're looking at it with spirit, with divine intervention, divine wisdom. So I just thought it was interesting, because I was having a struggle recently with that word. So
that's a powerful one.
Yes, it is.
We've all been through, I think everybody probably out there goes through in this lifetime waves of feeling obligated about different scenarios, whether it's family, work, whatever.
But when you stay obligated to someone or something, it also not only deters you, it also deters them. Because then you've got that person that instead of working at it themselves to do what needs to be done in their own life, can always say, hey, I can just let it roll on over to this person to do it. And then they're out of the energy of thinking about their own selves, of what they need to do.
The cords grow thick.
The cords grow thick.
It just hit me then that you can have cords to responsibility and obligation just like people.
Exactly.
Doesn't have a darn thing to do with the person or the place or the event behind that obligation. It's the energy and the slavery bought on by that obligation.
We are all
you break
on the same
shackles.
program.
You break the shackles.
Exactly.
So
that's it. Hallelujah. That's all I have to say. Hallelujah.
Leah's happy, folks.
I am very happy with that. With that. Yes, that is great.
Pretty exciting.
It's very exciting.
It was a great show, wasn't it?
It was great. I mean, that just made my whole day. Because when you have that going on with you, everybody's just much happier and lighter and can just do their thing. And at times, sometimes when that energy happens, it could very well be that it'll just totally split off and just go your different directions. But that's okay too, because that person needed to learn that they could do it without you. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to stand on your own merit and your own thing of whatever that you're doing. It's wonderful when you can be at a place where we are right now with the three of us, to where we, primarily agree on how our lives are, need to be, what we're going to do, what we're going to go forward. We talk about that every week. But, I don't want to feel obligated that I have to do every show because this is the show that you want to do, and this is the one that you picked the name for. Same way with Mr. Braswell over here. I mean, we collectively are together with this. And if one does wants to have a little different flair to it, we change that flair to it. But you know what happens? The energy at this table still stays the same. But you have the latitude to go do your thing, latitude to do your thing, latitude for me to do our thing. Because when you keep doing the same slavery work for someone for years and years and years, you will continue to stand with that image of that slavery, or I can't leave, or I can't do this, I can't. But it also keeps that other person relying on that person to do it all, and not going toward their own selves to look at their own place. And what a remarkable thing that is when you can just free all the chains of that, and just be who you are on your own spiritual level.
What I hearing you say on a easy level for people listening is, if you have a mundane thing that you do that you really have grown to think you hate, or you think the fun's out of it, and it's just a routine that you're caught up in, a repetitive cycle. Job, it may be a job, it may be a relationship, it may be anything. Stop and look at it. Come to terms with if you feel obligated or responsible to do that. And if you do, release it. Say, I'm not responsible for that anymore. I'm releasing that obligation. Then look at it again and see if it's something you might not like to do once you've gotten rid of that suppressive, heavy energy of the obligation part of it. You may find, like Lee said, that it's something you will leave. Give it love and leave, healing it in yourself. It may be something that once you look at it again, you've healed yourself, you've healed the event or the other person or whatever it is, and you look and you say, oh, there is enjoyment here. I just was not seeing it because I was being blinded by the blinders of obligation. And you've released all of that, and you say, oh, man, what you've done is you brought back the enjoyment of that. So whether you leave it or stay, the healing takes place. And it's especially good if you realize that you pushed away all of the things that you wish was there, and they weren't there simply because you kept them at bay.
That was excellent.
Yeah, that was really clear.
That was very clear.
That brings me right into the life purpose, because I had this past week. It's been creeping in over time. This awareness. I know we talk about life purpose all the time as teachers, and as we talk with other people and ourselves and continue to grow, we talk about life purpose and what our purpose is and all that stuff. Been doing it for years. And just the other day I was sitting in my room and had this just profound flow of, it was moved out of my head and it moved into my heart. And it was like all of this knowledge and stuff just all of a sudden went kaplop right in my heart. And it was like, wow. And it was like a breath of fresh air and a relief. And there was a sense of obligation that left with it. And what I'm talking about is a lot of people say, well, what is your purpose? Ask the question. And then a lot of people are looking for, as I know I have, and at certain times in my life, looked for what type of activity is your purpose? A healer, a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, a musician, or whatever. And what I've found is that anytime that you label yourself as my purpose is this, it immediately brings upon within the human mind in this human world a sense of identity about something, and it can be confining and constricting and all of those kind of things. And I think it's important in this new energy this year that we all toss out the old vibration of life purpose, of what maybe because I've heard a lot of teachers and different shows and all kinds of things talk about life purpose, and I think it's time for us to throw that thing out the window and realize what came to me so clearly is that the only purpose that each one of us have, even though we have contracts that we wrote on the other side and all these things to do certain things, our only real purpose is to be in joy. Find joy. Find whatever it is within ourselves that is the core of allowing that expression of divine light to move through us, and just allowing that expression to happen creates the joy feeling in our lives. And if we can find, which I've really, what sunk into my heart is that really my only purpose is to be, bring light into every single activity of my day. That's my only purpose. And the way that happens is part of the infinite creativity that the divine works through me. And so I've decided that all of these activities, that I have a book project and card project and all these different projects, which have I'm like, dang, I cannot wait to do these things. But something within me has been holding me back from moving into them. And it was because I've identified myself as doing these things. They lacked that flow of joy, that just movement that's coming through me. And I was looking at the end results of what that identification was going to be. And so I know a lot of us do this. Our minds play the illusion on us and have that ability to, just the way society works. It's so important. And what I've found is that I'm just kind of sunk in. It's just like what we do with this show. This show, there's no obligation to it. It's totally just go with the flow, off the cuff, and I cannot wait just to be here and just let myself just express and be whatever. So I've decided that that's kind of my model for what being an expression of light is and being in total joy. And I'm like, well, all of my other things can do that too. So I'm going to allow all these other projects to find their own. It may take me 5 years to get one of them done, but I've decided that's okay. I don't need to finish something just to get it finished. I'm going to finish it because it's going to be through my heart, not working through all of these labels and things that I've put on it of what my head wants it to be. I want it, all of the things and the creative outlets to flow from my heart. And some of that takes time. So I'm putting it out there of how important it is to maybe look at your life purpose as not of X, Y, and Z, but to really maybe go deeper than that and realize that each one of us is here to be just a light being and share love and peace with every whether you're working in a corporate world or whatever. I know the last bit that I was in my corporate job, I made it my mission to find that peace and joy in everything that I was doing, to kind of transcend the obligation, so that it shifted it for me. So I left with a new version of myself working in the corporate world. And then it's really helped me grow throughout the years. But what do you all think about that? What are your thoughts?
Great teacher, you just developed Life Purpose 101. Everybody listening in just heard what you said, and most of them caught what you were saying. But I would give everyone a suggestion to even go further with what Mr. Lott just said. Your life purpose and so many people think this, is not to save the world. It's not to come down and heal cancer. It's not to come down and get rid of all the evil in the world. So many people think that that should be your life purpose. It's not. I would give you a suggestion on what to make your life purpose starting now and see where it grows. As he said, look for the joy in everything. Add your love to everything. If you're baking as a hobby or as a business, put your love, even more of it than you're doing now, into it. Find the joy in baking what you bake. If you drive a truck, put your joy into it. Start looking at the scenery around you and enjoying it. Notice things around you that you've never seen before, you've never allowed yourself to see. Put your love into it by being more courteous to people around you when you drive. If you're a doctor, don't go into surgery, don't go in to see patients and not have a smile on your face. Be more loving and see the joy in helping another human being. Put your love into it. No matter what you do, there's joy there. Just let yourself see it. And the way to do that is bring the love out for yourself. Bring the love into what you do. And look around you, and you're going to find that no matter what you do, you're going to find that joy, and you're going to see how much your love affects what you do. And from there, you're going to grow exponentially without realizing it.
That was beautiful.
I had written down here while you were speaking, Michael, Lott, was that the joy is in, the purpose is in the moment. It's totally just in the moment. And
our last show, Power of Now,
it
right?
was Power of Now. And we took that to heart. But there was a situation that happened last Sunday evening that totally, I've always looked at a life purpose differently than what I have been looking at the life purpose. I think that I've been thinking a lot more about it since we switched the calendar to 2013. I think we were so fixated in what we thought it was as a healer or a leader or whatever that you felt like that you had to always blend in with that a statement somebody would make about that. Or you always, if somebody was over there working on another person, you felt like that you was drawn to go over there to do it as well. Because you say, well, this is what I am. This is what my life purpose is. So I need to be over there helping too. Wrong. That is wrong. I mean, I just totally backed off of that. That's not so. Because it might not be that you're the one over there to help that other person. The person that's working on them, it's divine order that person would be the one to do it anyway. So I think that you take, that's a lot of type of ego type thing for me. It's just ego. You still got your ego working in there. Even though your heartstring is saying this is what I am because you've totally talked yourself into that's your purpose. But in reality, there's something in you at that moment that says, you know what? If I went over to that table and started working on that person too, I would be able to do something different.
Oh my gosh.
And better.
Words.
And more this or more that or more this than that person that's already over there doing it. So that's your ego that has run into that sector of that. So I think that that's when you kind of shift off of it. And now I'm at the point that I could sit and really watch somebody work on another person and not feel compelled of this little talk going on in my head that I need to be there too because I do what they do, you see? And I can really do, in reality, let's think about it. We normally think we can do a better job than that person can in a lot of ways. There's our ego talking to us.
Yep.
Okay? I could just do better than that, you know?
I understand.
And so, you get totally out of that. It struck me last Sunday after we had this very much of a clearing situation of the massage work that Michael Braswell did. It was miraculous. I came out of it totally feeling a total different spirit with me. It took away something that had been attached to me for several years. That just really, it just lightened my whole way. And I just really it took me about the next day to really think about this whole situation because I know Michael Lott was sitting here the next morning and he went through my crying spell. I just lost it. And I've never been an emotional person like that. I can't even remember the number of times on one hand that I've cried, But it was just very emotional to me to be able to shed something that was so dear to me, that was still attached to me. And when that was taken away, it was like there was a part of me that just left. Because a part of me left with her. It just left with me. And I had to just really get deep with that type of thought. And say, okay, I didn't need that attached to me. She didn't. And she's on the other side. She certainly don't need to be attached here with me with any type of emotion, because she's in bliss, And I do know that when I had gone to visit with her on the other side, she was in a sleep pattern. And just asleep. And I'm thinking, wow, because you see, she was asleep and still in that mood 2 years later. And here, part of her is attached to me. So that really makes a whole lot, that was a whole closure there, that Michael didn't even know what he was doing. But I knew at that moment, this is a closure. This is a closure of releasement. But I was very emotional about it. That Sunday evening, I slept like 2 hours. I could not get it off my mind of how I lost all the stuff that I had in me, and what in the world. It was a very, very much of that type of feeling for me. Well, then Sunday evening, whenever Michael leaves, he calls back in. He says, there's two spirits that's outside that need to be crossing over, and make sure that happens, because he was already going down the road. Well, we get in the circle here, and it's always been pretty much my purpose at that time to be able to go in there and to just open the gateway, call in the archangels to come in, bring the people into the room or the circle of wherever they're at, and just go through that whole thing and the whole ritual. I've got it down in my head that is just absolutely, every word would be almost the same every time I did it, because it was like eating a meal for me. Okay, I get halfway through this. I haven't shared this with Michael Braswell. I got halfway through it, and all of a sudden, there's this voice in my head that said, You are not obligated for this neither. Pass it on. Now, this is in the middle of this, and consciously, I opened my eyes because I was way out there. And I looked over at Michael Lott, was right in front of me. And I looked at him, and I said, You take it on. And he looked at me like, oh, my gosh, what in the world has happened here? I mean, the look on his face was like sheer shock. And it was like he started a little bit of stuttering.
Yeah, I was
we
so
was in
used
the middle
to you
of it.
doing
He was
it in
stuttering.
your house all the time, always.
Spiritual stutter.
It was a little bit of spiritual stutter going there. And then he just picked it right up, and we went right on, And so when it was over with, I don't know, you made the mention about, wow, what happened in there? I said, right in the middle of this, it was just totally divine order saying to me, Lee, you can take that off as well. Because you know what? There's a lot of people that can do this, and you don't have to feel the obligation of being the one that people are always looking at to do that. You don't have to be that every time.
And you know what's cool? It reminded me about the other day when I think you all went to this Thursday class thing, and it was shifted to you at the end, wasn't it?
It totally was.
Like you had the inverse thing happen almost
Exactly. It was exactly the opposite thing of what had just happened on Sunday. I mean, I'm sitting there in this circle, it was a journey type class. And then all of a sudden the instructor looks at me and she says, well, Lee, she says, you gonna do the closing? And I mean, it took me off on that too, because I'm thinking, wow, she's asking me to do this. Because my assumption, which we know the verbiage of what assumption can mean at times, it was like, wow. And it took me off guard like it took you off guard. Mm-hmm. And so I was put in the exact reverse situation to where here we are crawling across the floor holding hands, and then all of a sudden here it just flows through. What's needed to be said was said, but it took me off guard. So I got the same type of response back that you had on Sunday. Because after it was over, we just kind of sit down and it was just like, wow, that was different.
Gosh.
But I think that's some of the miracles. I call it a miracle.
Absolutely.
That's some of the miracles that will be coming through with us. And it's just being so aware of really knowing when it's there to just grab it and just sit with it and just know that that is for you. These type of lessons are going to be coming very fast this year. Very fast this year. And we're being woke up. It's either we're waking ourselves up as the spiritual beings, we're waking ourselves up, or we're having the actual thought pattern coming to us that ingrains within us and sleep and in whatever other fashion that it is that we get it, to wake ourselves up to whatever that it is, accept it, know it, and you're just one of millions and millions that are the same. You're not anything special about it. You are just that.
Beautiful.
Had you not led that closing circle, the miracle of teaching that happened that night to the other attendees in that circle, you were teaching them how to close. They were seeing the proper way to close. And had that not happened, they would not have seen that. They would not have heard it. They would not have had a feel for it, so that in the future, if someone ever asked them to close or they feel led to close, they'll have a better idea now to do it because of the teaching by you at that time being their spiritual teacher.
And I got a lot out of it myself, even though it was a shock of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I really got a lot of it out of myself because it just went so fast right through. And when it was finished, I kind of looked to my left, and there was two people in that circle that had tears in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the grace and the gratitude of, it goes both ways. It totally goes. And when the spirit goes both ways between two people, that's when it just totally just fits.
Miracles.
It fits. And there's nothing you can go around it. There's nothing you can shed off of that. You can't go into your mind and say, oh my gosh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. Because when you start saying you don't want to go there, oh boy, you're stuck again. And you're just starting all over the trail. You got to start it back over here again. If you keep going through the total flow, just keep going through the flow and just enjoy. Joy is the key to where your body, your mind, your soul feels. When you feel joyful, it all works. It just all works.
Well, I think you circled us right back around to the core message of, what is it? Is it Joseph Campbell that says, follow your bliss? Is that one of his quotes? Or where that?
I think that's right. Yes. And I might want to say one more thing. I'm just on the trail here.
Go for it.
Okay. When I first started my journey, I had also came out of the corporate world, and I knew there was more out there to do, and I went toward a bookstore to buy a book. So you never know when you're going to pick it up. It can be from a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But I picked up the book, and it was talking about totally around purpose, life purpose. And I think that that's where a lot of people actually get stuck sometimes in that box. Mm-hmm. Because, most of the time I think people read as far as what the life purpose is, more so than they're talking to other people about what life purpose is. Because you could actually talk about life purpose, you could be talking about it for years with the same person. Whereas with a book, it's kind of concise. It has your little paragraphs there. You can stop, put your little bookmarker in there, all that good stuff. You just kind of take as much as you want, and then you just stop. You just stop it. And that's what I did. And I got into this book that was Life Purpose. It took me about 3 days to read it, and I just couldn't put the thing down. It was just like I was just like a maniac with it, But that book started me on the path of really recognizing what I was missing that I felt I was missing at that time, and I was. But it put it in paragraphs of how to do it. Okay? And that's an okay way to start. You know, I think there's definitely steps of how we go in our spiritual walk. But there's nothing at all incorrect about that. Any way that you get started on that, it's okay, because that's the way that it needs to be started. The key is that when you really get the feel to it, and that's what your whole life is. My whole life is spiritual. That's what I am. I can't even go anywhere else but that. I like spiritual people. I'm just always in that think pattern, because I'm the type of person that when I want to say something, it's just time to say it. You know, I just don't hold it back, because that doesn't work either. And and in that moment, I think you have to look at all the lessons that you can learn in all different ways, and don't put yourself in the box of what you are, of a healer, of a this or of a that. And I truly believe that a lot of people stuck out there because of that. Because when they actually see that paragraph about who they are, and they kind of resonate to that, they think that's all they can do. But it can be a lot of different things that you can do.
Absolutely. Every single person out there, you're a painter, you're an artist, exactly. You're a musician, you're a this, you're a that. Everyone has those capacities within them. To just isolate it to one human profession, so to speak, is really doing a lot of disservice to the soul's expression.
True.
Yes,
that is absolutely true.
Good
so
point.
even if as we all have had those labels or been in those places, it's fine to do that, but just be open to, as we've all been talking about today, to just let that label go out of your mind and let your soul just express itself in all the different ways we can as in this human experience. It's unlimited.
When you take the title away from your name, that is the true you. And it's amazing. If I was sitting here as a doctor or an attorney, as an example, if I took that label away from me, I would still be able to do my work. But I just don't get into the ego of thinking about how wonderful that is, or how great that is. That's when it changes, is when you start patting yourself on the back and talk about how wonderful that it is, and how great you are, and how many years I went to school to do A+. It's when you really ingrain yourself into the profession that you're in, whatever that is, and you're still, and you're in your own, and every day you look forward to going to work. And cannot wait to get in the car or whatever to get there. That's when you're really fulfilling your purpose. If you're getting in your vehicle every day and saying to yourself, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm having to go to this place again," money really makes no difference, because you'll always have enough. I always feel that way. I'll always have enough. And if you just go toward that type, that is a purpose, regardless of what you're doing. And I think that's the key to it. If you're in love with yourself, or if you don't like any part of anything that you're doing that day, step out of it and go in to where you really want to be in your life.
And one more little thing that just keeps coming to me, and with what you said, is serving a purpose. And so serving the purpose of bringing joy and light and love into everything, that's serving a purpose. And then that purpose will also serve you.
That's right.
Can I say one more thing before we go?
No, you can't.
I step out of your energy.
Don't give her your old mind.
Oh, God, that's funny.
I would offer one thing not to make your life purpose. Don't make it your life purpose to look for your soulmate.
That's a great one.
Your soulmate is everybody. You're all part of the one. Your soulmate is everybody. What you will find is somewhere down your life path as a human being, you will meet someone who is entered into your contract in a special way that will serve you in a very special way. It may be in a relationship as lovers. It may be in a relationship as children, friends. Doesn't matter. That will come to you. You've made your contract, and is somewhere along your life path you will meet the people on your contract. If you want to see your soulmate, whoever's in front of you is your soulmate.
Amen.
And I'd say amen to that. That's absolutely
women.
the truth. A women, a men, or whatever.
A souls.
Or a soul. A souls. I'm glad you clarified that.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that beautiful
Yeah, that was
thought
great.
there at the
That was
end as
great.
well.
Yeah. We always have all these thoughts. We just don't have enough time to say them all. And then by the time we get back next week, all of a sudden we're thinking about
Ready
other
for
things.
another.
We're ready for another round of it.
I'll save the other 23 for later.
Please
Okay.
do.
Well, you all have a super blessed week. So great being here with you, Lee, and Michael Braswell. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
And we'll talk to you all again soon. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Later.